I don't know. Maybe we can hear each other now.
Oh, okay.
We're a little bit of a mess today, Stephen, but we'll be all right.
All right. I think we're all set now, though.
We got a lot of stuff to go through.
Let's see if anybody's already tuned in, seeing we're about 15 minutes late.
Well, there we go. We got our first tuner.
We do?
Yeah, there's one up there.
Oh, all right. Now I was looking for the comments. That's right. All right. So last week,
Comment, see if you can hear us.
the NBA gave us another rendition of their All-Star Weekend, which growing up, I always looked forward to every single night, made sure I didn't miss any aspect of it. They've changed the formats a lot. People are choosing to participate, not participate. They've changed around some of the events to make it more exciting. They even changed the way the All-Star game format was. In your opinion, what was your overall take of the All-Star Weekend entertainment-wise?
I was impressed with Mac and also the kid from the San Antonio Spurs, the rookie there.
Oh, in the dunk contest spot. All right.
I was impressed with that, but the rest of like
the team skills thing to me was a waste of
that's
time.
a waste. Like,
and then with the dilemma with Chris Paul and Wemby supposedly cheating.
They didn't even attempt a shot in the first time. Or
yeah, but what does that tell you? They were just trying to circumvent the system, figured out a loophole to win.
Yep. And it bit them in the ass.
All right, but before we get to the dunk contest, because that's the easiest thing for us to talk about, what about the 3-point contest?
I wasn't impressed.
Nah?
No. I thought, seeing as these guys are NBA players and now the NBA is about shooting threes now, that we would have got higher scores.
At least early on, because Tyler Hero barely made the cut in the first round. And I want to say it was Buddy Hield who went cold. Yeah. Somebody went cold at the end, and they ended up like 1 point shy, and he got in with like a 14. And I think that was
your boy Dave Moore didn't really impress either.
Yeah. And I saw an interview with him, and he said the first 2 years he practiced and didn't place. And then the last 2 years he won it back to back. He just showed up and did it. And he went with that philosophy again this year, but didn't work. And they added a little bit of an element with those the two green balls there that were worth more points in the middle.
I think they were worth 4, I'm not mistaken, or 3.
Yeah, but they were game-changing things. If you hit them, it was like hitting 4 shots or 2 money balls, Yeah. So, except for Steph Curry, I thought the participants were all worthy. I just didn't find the level of excitement and the drama. Like it wasn't must-see TV for me.
Not at all.
It wasn't like the days when Larry Bird walked out there with his sweatshirt on and was like, "Who's playing for second? You guys figure it out." Yeah. Was there anybody that wasn't in it that should have been? I mean, outside of Curry, I thought most of the shooters. Was there anybody else you thought should have been added that might have added a little more, or did we have the right players for this particular event?
Honestly, like on an event like this, I would like to see like the top shooters, like obviously Curry.
Wasn't it supposed to be Curry versus Ionescu again?
Yeah, but Curry pulled out. And then the Durant. I wouldn't mind seeing Durant in one of these. Who else?
I don't think we're going to see Durant in anything, though. He's toward the end of his career. Yeah. He feels like he has. All these guys have that mentality, right? Into that bleeds into the dunk contest. Like nobody wants to put themselves out there for fear of taking a loss, and what would be the negative backlash people would say if they lose.
There was an email or a tweet by a certain John Morant to.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, I was going to mention that.
To a few others.
Derek Demers, what's going on?
Hauser, that wouldn't
from the Celtics.
That would have been a bad pick.
Even Pritchard.
Or Pritchard.
Yeah, even Pritchard too.
Pritchard would have been a good call.
But I don't know if that would have made it more exciting to watch. They definitely were worthy, but correct me if I'm wrong, either Derek. Didn't they used to have like head to head, like one down one end, one at the other? Yeah. To me, that was more exciting because you were watching both and you eliminated one person.
But I see why they're doing it this way now, because for one, it makes it
top scores
makes it last a little longer, and then you would have dudes that were like getting like, let's say 23 and not advancing because the guy that he went got 24 and this guy got 13, the other guy got 11, and that guy got 13 would advance. You know what I mean?
Well, I think to save time, I'd like the top scores to advance, but I'd like to see them pay it off. And then when 8 people go, it would only take 4 rounds, 4 shots to get all 8 people in.
Yeah.
And I'd rather see 2 people competing at the time and then do what you said, just go to the top score. So you're not eliminated if you had the second highest score.
Yeah.
But that would be time. That would save a lot of time. I don't know. The big names that we thought were going to do it didn't do it. Tyler Hero got better as it went along. He started off slow. He was barely hanging on by the skin of his teeth. In the last round, he had to wait for somebody to like miss like 4 out of 5 on the last rack in order for him to advance.
Yeah.
But once he advanced, then, he did well. Paul Paris.
And the
I
have one-on-one.
I wouldn't mind that too, but I think Eagles got hurt. I remember the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Dr. J.
Yeah.
And it was pretty exciting and stuff. The women actually tried to bring that back, and that ended up turning out pretty good. And they're
I got a $200,000 purse for that.
Yeah. And also included the teammates who also got an additional $10,000 if your team member won.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. So it was $200,000, and then everybody on your team got $10,000.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, granted, in the 3-on-3 league, there's only 5 people on your team, so they didn't go broke doing it. But it was still something. Play for pride, team pride. Everybody got a little something. Let me see. What did Derek say here? I thought the 3-point shot added some excitement. Those multicolored balls where they had them in the middle.
One-on-one by position.
But Paul, would that solve anything? Would we get entrance? Because we're trying to do one-on-one in the dunk contest, and nobody wants to enter that for fear of losing.
Well, think about it. The NBA now is a 3-point shooting contest. It's not a go at
3 points and dunk. So they
go at this guy, and this guy's gonna come back at you. They don't do that nowadays. So I don't know if that would be. I don't know if that would make more people interested in doing it, because you can think about it like this. I'm a big name star. You're not. And you whip my ass in a one-on-one. How's that going to make me look? I'm not going to want to do that again.
Well, that happened in the women's version because Breanna Stewart, who was one of the people who started the league, she lost in the first round.
She got shut out.
She got beat 12-0.
Yeah, so
I think by the girl who ended up winning it, though. Who was it that won it? Was it Rakia Jack? Rakia?
Nah, it was a girl with a crazy.
Oh, no. The girl from UConn.
Yeah.
The rookie.
It was 3 out of 4.
Edwards.
No.
Aaliyah Edwards. Yes, it was. Aaliyah Edwards won.
Yeah.
Yep. But to me, I had more enjoyment watching the women's one-on-one than anything except the dunk contest in the All-Star weekend, including the games.
But the dunk contest was a 2-person pretty much dunk contest.
Yeah, but
and even that it was.
But
it was over by the second round.
I thought the problem with the dunk contest, everybody went for it in the first round, and they did, because they knew what was coming with McClung, but they couldn't finish. They couldn't execute. The kid from the Bulls, how do you say his name, Metalis or something like that? He had an interesting. He was out of bounds. He tried to bounce it between his leg and go. He just couldn't execute it. But had he executed it,
that would have been crazy.
But the problem is and that's where I give McClung all the credit in the world. He had 1 missed attempt in the whole contest. Everything else was done on the first attempt.
Would you really consider? You talking about when he jumped over the car?
Yeah.
I don't even think he got the.
They were saying he had 1 missed attempt, but everybody was praising. Not only was it the level of difficulty that he showed and the creativity, he was able to do it in 1 try almost all the time.
I think it's Blake Griffin did it with the car.
He just went over the hood.
We went over the hood. This guy went over.
And his foot caught the end of the car on the way down. Hey, I give Mac McClung every ounce of credit. But it's become a sideshow because he's not in the league the whole year. And then mysteriously, just to get him in the dunk contest, he gets a 10-day contract right before the All-Star break so that we can see him.
But he's the one that's bringing the excitement back. Nobody else is.
But him and the kid from the Bucks, they showed some potential, but they didn't have the poise to execute their dunk. So their low scores were too much to overcome. Now, Stephon Castle
He,
started off a little weak,
Yeah.
but he ended up getting one down in the first round, so he didn't get like low scores. So he, outside of McClung, he was able to have the second highest score in advance. The first two, I liked what they tried to do, but if you can't execute, you can't move on. Once it got to the second round, Mr. Castle felt like he was comfortable and confident, and he did some pretty amazing stuff that if Mac McClung wasn't in there, I think he would have won the dunk contest. I don't know who would have replaced Mac McClung, but he was very impressive with his creativity and the energy and force in which he was dunking with. I felt like as it went on, if there was one more round, you know, like he started off, you got to remember, McClung got 50s almost every single dunk.
every single dunk was
Every single dunk. So this dude's getting a 48, a 49, and he's falling behind.
like literally the dude needed a 38 to win it. He could have missed. He would have got a 40.
But to his credit, he still went with something.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying he could have missed and he would have got a 40.
Right. And that's because of the way it started. That's why I feel like you should erase every score after every round.
That's the way they used to do it.
Mm-hmm. You only keep those scores to advance. But because of everybody knowing what lies beyond with Mac McClung's ability, everybody was forced to go for it. And I think the pressure was too much for the other two young boys.
Yeah.
But let's address the whole incident that you mentioned. You said Ja Morant said something. I saw somebody else make a comment to Ja Morant.
I thought it was Ja Morant. It was Ja Morant, the dude that lost to Levine.
Yeah, Gordon. It was Gordon that I saw initiating the tweet saying, "Hey, Ja, what do you think? I'll come back."
I thought it was.
And Ja Morant said,
I could be mistaken.
"Well, wait a minute. Maybe Ja Morant did say it because Gordon's response was, if I'm healthy, I'll be there." Now, Gordon's gotten a little older, so his athleticism might not be what it was when he was one. And plus, he got robbed.
He never won it.
Yeah, but I think they asked Zach LaVine too, and I think they said Gordon and LaVine, and if they could get Ja Morant and bring McClung back, because McClung did say after the contest, I don't know what's going to happen. This might be my last one. But if they were to bring back some of the big names, now, do you think the big names would be intimidated? Because we all know what Gordon was able to do, LaVine was able to do.
That's why they're not trying to come back.
I think you need John, you need Williamson to stop because they're still young and explosive. And Anthony Edwards.
The only way that them guys come back is if Mac's not allowed. Because how do you think they're gonna? They're a big name NBA guy who have big dunks in NBA games, and then they go and then this dude that's in a G League comes and whoops their ass in the dunk contest.
Yeah,
they're not gonna like that.
Well, you see what Paul Parrish just brought up. Should it be the best dunker or best NBA dunker? It is called the NBA All-Star Weekend. Therefore, I feel like it should involve, like it always has, the current players of the NBA.
I wouldn't say Cooper. I wouldn't put Cooper Flag in there, bro. He's I don't know. Unless
they're great in-game dunkers. I don't know.
Crazy hops and his creativity is outstanding. But other than that,
You know,
he's 6'10".
Yeah, he's a big boy.
So-
But you know what I've enjoyed watching more than the NBA dunk contest? They have a worldwide one, and there's another white dude that wins it all the time.
Who colors his hair?
Yeah, Jason, I think his name. But he wins everywhere, all over the world.
They did a thing on him with
I saw Gary Payton saying he didn't believe him, and then he said, "I'm a believer. It was Gary Payton and Kenny Smith, I think. And Gary Payton walked out of there amazed. He was like, "This is the best dunker." And I played with Sean Kemp. But if you're going for a dunk contest, because of the size and the explosiveness, Sean Kemp, he was 6'9", 6'10" too. So
expect it from him.
Right. But the creativity, but these guys can practice their dunks all year round because that's what they do. They just go to tournaments and they dunk. But if we're not going to get the NBA players to participate, the stars, then I think we should open it up.
Then you can't call it an NBA dunking contest.
You can just say the NBA presents, the open invitation dunk contest or something. But I've seen better dunk competitions when college basketball season ends and they have the same type of weekend where they have the 3-point shooters, men's and women's, and then they have the dunk. Every year when I watch the dunk contest, somebody from a smaller, obscure school ends up winning.
Yeah.
an NAIA school, a Division II or Division III player. But to a lot of these people, that might be their claim to fame, or it just means more to them to put more effort and creativity into it and to challenge themselves. It's a chance for them to be seen because they're smaller market people playing at smaller schools. But in the NBA, I think the Eagles have gotten the best of these contests. Like from the time, I don't know when the NBA dunk contest started, but from the time I started watching it until the time I made it out of college, I'd say for 20 years straight, it was exciting every year. The 3-point shooting contest was exciting every year. I never got into the skills.
Nah, they didn't have the skills before.
I used to like the rookie game.
But before that, they used to have the Legends game.
Yeah, but then people started getting hurt. And then they had the All-Star, like Kevin Hart and them would play. The celebrity. That was all the Friday night stuff.
They still have that, but it's not as exciting.
That's a good point, Paul. I remember that. Because the NBA absorbed the ABA because the ABA was putting out a more exciting brand. Remember, they had the red, white, and blue ball.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to introduce the 3-point line. And they had a lot of high flyers with Julius Erving and David Thompson and George Gervin and all them guys were playing in the ABA, and people wanted to see them, play in the NBA.
Didn't the NBA outlaw dunking for a little while?
College did. I don't think the pros did.
I want to say the NBA outlawed dunking for a while.
That might have been a rule to stop Wilt Chamberlain. I know that happened when Wilt Chamberlain was in college, but I don't know if it happened. Paul might be able to look that up.
I said in the NBA.
No, he was talking about in the NBA. Was it ever outlawed in the NBA? I don't personally recall it. I remember they changed the rules for Wilt Chamberlain in college, saying you couldn't dunk in college when he was at Kansas. So they got rid of the Legends game. They got rid of the NBA Rising Stars. And in its place, they took one rookie team of Rising Stars, and then they made from Wilt to Doc, Duncan was banned. Maybe that's why Doc went over to the ABA at the time.
Yeah.
That had to be in the early 70s. I just don't recall because the ABA wasn't on TV and the NBA was hard to see because a lot of times it was pre-recorded and the games replayed later at night and stuff like that. But they got rid of All-Star Weekend, the Legends game. Was there any interest in that? Bunch of older guys past their prime, the celebrity game.
Like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting when I was a kid, but
yeah.
Especially when Doc.
Was it more interesting than it was now? I just thought the whole weekend was an event. You saw something good every single weekend, culminating with the All-Star game itself when people actually played to win. Not a lot of defense, some matador defense, but at least they tried to play to win. Now.
Like that year when the East came back with
Kyrie?
Iverson. No, it was Iverson.
Oh.
And then Marbury, Vince Carter. The West went up big, and then in the second half, the East came back and won.
You think we have to incentivize that game like baseball does? They give the home field advantage in the World Series to whoever wins, so you got to play to win.
But does it really matter?
Yeah.
I don't
it matters if you're on a team that's going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, but think about it. I don't know. I don't think these guys.
Baseball doesn't know who's going to go to the World Series, and they still have that format. But at least the managers and the players play for a reason with the thought of trying to win.
In my opinion, baseball is a little different just because it's like if you're a pitcher and you're an all-star, you ain't trying to give up no runs.
Right.
Whether it's an all-star game or not, you're not trying to give up any runs.
That's from the pitcher's point of view, but
and now you're a hitter. You're seeing a different pitcher every inning, so it's not like you can try and figure out what the pitcher's doing.
Out of all the sports entities, I think the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is the only one I still watch and take serious. Football has become a joke.
Yeah, football.
The NBA's heading toward a joke. Football's gone all the way down the flag, I believe.
Yep.
The NBA, now they adopted another format with like 8 guys on each team. And there was Team Ernie and Team Shaq and Team Kenny. And, you know, and then there was a Rising Stars team, and then there was a developmental league. So you had to play elimination, which I think was up to 40 because there was a target score. You either scored 40 or you had a time limit.
The first two was 40, and on Friday the first
Yeah.
two was 40, and the last one was 25.
Yeah.
Was 25.
So more people got a chance to play, but then you heard what Draymond Green's remarks were. Too many people got invited to the All-Star game. You didn't have to earn your way in now.
Where was he?
He's not an All-Star no more, and he hasn't been. I don't know if he was saying he thought he would have got selected because he'd be delirious if he was. But my point was there was like 6 teams of 8. So that means 48 people got recognized because there was no true All-Star game.
But you can't count the Rising Stars because they would have the Rising Stars game anyways.
But they were in that tournament with the G League players and the 4 teams.
So they gave them an incentive because you think about it, three teams of 8 is what, 36.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, 3 teams of 8 is 24. Yeah,
24. So if they only had 2 teams, 12 on each team. Right.
Well, I thought they had 6 teams.
No.
Because I thought there was 4 people that had name teams. No. Then there was the Rising Stars and the U.S.
The Rising Stars and all that. They did that on Friday. And the winner of the Rising Stars in that G League team, the winner
advanced to the tournament.
Was the 4th team.
Okay.
Because there was only Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck, and Candace Parker took the Rising Stars team.
All right.
She ended up being the GM of the Rising Stars team.
You beat me to it, Paul, because when we got to how we're going to make it, but I still think it has to be incentivized. Because I don't know.
Now you say USA versus the world. That's
where you were born. Just for the All-Star game, they did that one year. The world has caught up. The world might be able to put together a better team now because you'd have Luka, Jokic, Greek Freak, Victor Wembanyama, all them guys, all from other countries. A lot of the elite players.
All right, now I'll think of it like this. You say that, right? Which it's a good team. Who won gold in the Olympics?
But those guys weren't able to band together. They had to play for their respective countries.
I understand that.
But the world is huge because you can pick the best from each country, and the United States can only feature the United States players. But it just, to me, what I like about that is it might incentivize the guys to play for a reason because everybody's tired of hearing the world's caught up to the United States. Look at the top players in the league right now. Jokic and Luka and Greek Freak and Victor, and a lot of them are coming from overseas now. We still have our fair share, but it's not that wide gap that it used to be. So I think it would be competitive, but how would we incentivize it? Well, Kyrie this year now just said he's going to play for Australia, but he's already played twice for the United States, and then he got left off. And he's 36 now, so I don't know. But SGA, Murray, they're in Canada.
Kyrie is still Kyrie, bro.
Right. But that list alone, you can still add the people we just mentioned too, with Joker and Luka and all those guys. Oh, Joker's up there, yeah.
Why would he put Murray?
Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's from Canada.
Yeah, but I would put. There's other people I'd put before him. But I guess he was just using it as an example.
Yeah, but my point is there's a lot, so that might make it interesting. But how long would they play serious?
I think it would be just the same way it is now.
Because you couldn't do a home court advantage thing.
Like you said earlier in an earlier comment, if you're making $50 million a year, there's no incentive.
And that's the problem. You can't do a money incentive.
That's what it used to be. But it was only like for hundreds of thousands of dollars, not no millions. But these guys are making more money than they can count right now.
So, in your opinion, is there anything we can add to the All-Star game portion of it that would make the All-Star game watchable again? Just the game, because we already know what's going on with the dunk contest, but the game itself.
No.
Because I don't think it's a true All-Star weekend anymore. I only watched the dunk contest. I didn't care about any other aspect, and I watched the 3-point shooting contest because it came on before the dunk contest. That was it. And they didn't rotate it like they did in past years, where they'd have the first round of the 3-point, then the first. Yo, we had to watch the whole 3-point contest, and the dunk contest didn't come on until 10 o'clock. I was like, man,
they want to keep you in tune.
yeah. So people are more worried about their contracts. Horse would be all right.
No,
You don't think so?
Nah, I don't think so. Like
better than the skills competition, I think.
But horses, that's too slow. For that horse game, with
how long it takes to win one round.
Yeah, it could go on forever.
Well, maybe we make people qualify, on Friday and Saturday, and then on Sunday, or you just have the championship.
They did a horse in the 70s.
Yeah, Pete Maravich was in it. I remember that. But here's the
other. They got rid of it for a reason.
Here's the other aspect of the All-Star game. The players we didn't see a lot of our stars opt in, and one big omission was LeBron James. But the fact that he didn't tell nobody and took up another spot. Now, I keep seeing people saying Powell from the Clippers was having a great year and he should have earned his first spot. And if LeBron didn't play and they had to replace somebody, he might have been the replacement and he would have been able to experience earning a spot in the All-Star. But LeBron, and in my opinion, his ego,
that's selfish,
didn't say nothing until he came out in his regular clothes during the introduction. He held his spot and prevented another person from getting recognized because he still craved the attention of being introduced. Look at me, look at me. I don't want to give up my spot, and I'm going to sit on the sidelines. I did not respect that move, not one bit.
I know, and on Facebook, a lot of people were saying, look at all these people getting upset about a grown man not giving up his spot in an all-star game. It's not the point of him not giving up the spot in an all-star game.
You've been there 20 times.
It's the point of why aren't you letting somebody else get their flowers?
Because you still were named.
Yeah.
There's been other people who couldn't play for injury. They got introduced. They got named. But if we knew they weren't going to play, rather than be a man down, they allow the next man up to play, just like they do in the NFL and baseball. If somebody can't play, there'll be a pick to replace them, but they'll still acknowledge the person.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand LeBron's reasoning for holding his spot and keeping it so secretive.
How about the kid from Charlotte who was the number one vote getter?
Oh, Ball.
Who was the number one vote getter. And how are you the number one fan vote getter and you don't make the All-Star team at all?
Yep.
No, I thought the fans voted the starters.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the market he plays in. He's in Charlotte. It's not a big market.
But the kids' numbers are crazy. Right?
I know that, but the rest of the country doesn't appreciate the numbers he's putting up because they're not seeing him play. Charlotte is not on national TV.
No.
So unless you're in Charlotte, where he probably got a ton of votes, people just didn't realize how big of a season this guy is having. When you look at his stats, it's undeniable. He had better stats than any god that was in the game.
Yeah.
But because he plays in Charlotte, he didn't get the recognition he deserved.
That's that bullshit again. It's like I also seen something earlier this week how Michael Jordan's last All-Star game when he played for the Wizards, he wasn't selected to start. Vince Carter was in the starting lineup. That year, Vince Carter played 5 games, but he was in the starting lineup. How do you play 5 games and you're in the starting lineup? Fans voting, right?
Then it becomes a popularity contest, and it's not based on earning credentials year to year. A lot of these guys build up their reputation from year to year, and people just start off saying, well, we got to have Curry, we got to have LeBron, we got to have Kevin Durant. And then you got a guy like Ball or Powell who really deserved to be. What do you think about the players having more power? Like, the fans is one thing, but it's lopsided because the bigger market teams are going to get more votes for their people. And then everybody knows who the big stars are.
Like you just said, the bigger market. This kid wasn't even in a big market, and he still led all guards in voting.
But that's not the point that I'm trying to make. The voters from outside of Charlotte in those big markets didn't vote for him because they weren't aware of how good. if the fans are picking, there's more fans than just in Charlotte. He deserved it. We know that. But people that didn't see him play were not aware that his numbers were better until he got left off.
Regardless of, you're not hearing what I'm saying. Regardless of that, he was the number one vote getter for guards and out of the All-Stars.
In the fan voting?
Yes, and he still didn't make the All-Stars. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, then I apologize because I must have misinterpreted
That's
that.
what I'm saying. I said, how are you the top, one of the top vote getters through the fans, and you don't make the
Because I read the story on it, and it said so much was fan voting, so much was
now
being picked.
Now they're switching shit up so that these big name motherfuckers can get in there.
And they don't really want to be there. They just want to be there for clout. They don't want to be there for the right reasons. But God forbid you leave one of them off because their sensitive egos will get bruised real quick, which is the main reason I don't see these big names in the dunk contest because their egos.
I'm not a Ball fan. I'm a fan of his brother. I'm not a fan of him. But he deserved to be there.
And speaking of the Balls, I saw a story, and if it's true, that their dad had to have
emergency
foot surgery. He had a condition, but I never know what sources to believe anymore.
Yeah, I know.
So I saw it on Facebook a couple of times from a few people I trust. But if anybody else had saw it, LaVar Ball had to have emergency surgery, and I don't know if he had one foot or both feet amputated. One. But I did see pictures of him in a wheelchair, and prayers out to the Ball family because it's bigger than just basketball. What happened to Ball in Charlotte on the All-Star game, that was a tragedy, but in a bigger picture, his father having to have a foot amputated, that's also a big story. So, our thoughts go out to his family. Now, I don't know what's going to change in the future, but I saw an interesting story, and I want to see what your opinion is on it. Not just the NBA is not failing in just the NBA All-Star weekend, but their ratings have been going down year after year after the year. And a lot of that stuff is these prima donna attitudes with the game management loading. They're playing less and less games. There's been more of a dependence on the 3-point shot. So we're not seeing the mid-range shooters. We're not seeing more driving to the basket. Everybody wants to be a 3-point shooter, and that has kind of ruined the game. A lot of people are blaming this on when Adam Silver took over. David Stern, say what you want about him. He grew the NBA for several years in a row, the world expansion, the excitement, some of the rule changes. I don't know exactly how long Adam Silver has been the new president of the NBA, but the quality of the league has seemed to diminish. The TV ratings are down, attendance is down, ticket prices are up. Like
that.
How do you keep raising how you put a lesser and lesser product out there, but you keep, and that's what we talked about last week with the Red Sox and finally making some moves. We're like, how do you keep raising your prices and putting a weaker, watered down product out there?
They have to raise their prices because of what they're paying these damn players.
And why are they paying these players? Because it's the players see the owners making money because of these new TV contracts and everything else. But then the players also have their own personal endorsement deals. The money has gotten out of control, but the players are going to rightfully ask for it, just like in football, because the league's taking in this money and the players are saying, I just want my share. Because trust me, we just saw Tatum and Brown sound ridiculous contracts last year, but if that's only a slight, that's probably 10% of what the owners are making. What's the split of the owners' money with all those TV contracts and all these exclusive rights?
Adam Silver came in the league February 1st, 2014.
And that's 11 years. I say maybe the first 3 or 4 years, he rode the wave of what was already established before them. But then when he started tinkering with things and didn't have I don't think he has a strong enough relationship with the players union. And I think the players union rep has to sit down with the owners and sit down with Adam Silver and say, how do we improve the quality of our product again? Because it's only every time these prices for the salaries go up, the ticket prices go up, and we're going to become outpriced. People are going to eventually be like, I'm not going to these games. Like I can't afford to go. if the price for me to go keeps going up and up and up, and the players' salary is going up, and I'm seeing less and less of these players, there has to be a rule, I think, to a load management so that you can see the people that you play. And I think that if you don't play a certain percentage of games, then you should lose a certain percentage of your salary. You based your salary off an 82 game schedule. I'm paying you $60 million. Why the heck are you missing games where you're not injured?
How about like I think it was last year. It was either last year or the year before. A buddy of mine whose kid is a big LeBron fan bought tickets for the Celtics Lakers game. LeBron the Lakers only played in Boston once. Bought tickets to the Celtics Lakers game. They go to the game, spend money to park, whatever, get food and all that. So, and then LeBron doesn't even play. That's crazy.
Can you just scroll down a little bit? I wanted to see what Mike Kahn had said because I had missed his comment. And it looks like some of the things we were talking about.
By having the World versus USA is a great idea, but not during the All-Star weekend. Have it during the off-season like the Olympics. What will it take is the Players Association, the sponsors, and owners to collaborate to come to summer.
So that last part I agree with. But, Mike, I can't agree with the first part because we're talking about how to improve the product of All-Star weekend. So we have to do something during All-Star weekend to pique people's interest and keep them glued in. The ratings are going down. I decided to work, except for the dunk contest. On Sunday, I didn't even care about coming home I didn't watch none of those games. Not one of them.
It's not exciting anymore.
I came home Saturday night and I watched, which I thought was going to alternate. I watched the 3-point shooting contest, just trying to get to the dunk contest. That was the only aspect. But Mike, how do we improve the product of the All-Star weekend? I understand what you're saying about they can do that at another part of the year, but then people are going to say, we don't get paid to play in the middle of the year. They're going to want to get paid more than the $60 million they're getting, because why am I giving up my off-season time and my family time to come play some game that doesn't matter? But my thing that I challenge you, Mike, on is how do we improve All-Star weekend as a whole? Because it's not interesting and it's losing ratings. And in the bigger picture, it's not just All-Star weekend that's losing money and losing interest. The whole NBA product has become watered down. I would much rather watch men's or women's college basketball than I don't like watching NBA basketball until the playoffs. Before I used to race home and watch games every night. Now I don't care. Do not call it an All-Star game. Why? But once again, Michael, the whole weekend, how do we get the 3-point shooting contest, the All-Star, the slam dunk contest, the actual All-Star game? It's a whole weekend. But the only part people are tuning into is the dunk contest. There's nothing else that anybody's taking serious.
Yeah, honestly, in my opinion, and I think it's going to come down to is they're just going to stop it in general.
I don't think it's exciting enough to make it a whole weekend anymore.
Nah, there's no the interest is not the players don't even. I'm not even interested in that really. The players are taking it as a vacation.
Yeah, they're already load managing, and now they're looking to not play.
Like at the last minute, oh my ankle hurts, I'm not going to play.
Yeah,
come on.
Well, he didn't play the first game back last night either, so.
But you're talking about a load management guy.
Yeah.
Who's been doing it since he was.
And people like him
26.
And Joel Embiid, I know, are taking advantage. At least Joel Embiid has chronic injuries, but he said before the season even started, I'm not playing back to back. They said that's illegal. The league will come after your money. So then he didn't say he was going to take the second half of the games, but he's always hurt on the second part of the games. Last year, he wasn't available for no incentives, and he got mad that he wasn't considered for the MVP voting, but he didn't make the minimum of 65 games. There has to be a minimum of so many games in order for you to get your whole salary. I can't see these people. You're getting paid to play. Imagine going to your boss. You're supposed to be there Monday through Friday. I can't work 2 days in a row. What would happen to us?
But I'm still getting paid. I'm still getting paid.
Yeah. But would that be acceptable there? No.
Close.
This is their job, and they're getting excuse me. They're getting paid quite handsomely, and they got half the year off. You only got to work half the year. Your job as a professional athlete is to hone your craft, stay in shape, and play at the top of your ability for as long as you can.
I would like to see a list. I would like to see a list of the NBA from 2015, 2000, not even 2006 to now,
Average games played for
and
that
see how many and
superstars.
see how many guys played 82 games.
You know, Sam, I'm going to do my best to try to research that because I think that would be a very telltale.
It'll be a very short list,
Mhm.
and it's crazy. And now you do it from 1986 to 2010.
The golden era that I still think was the best era of basketball with the Bird and Magic and Isaiah and Michael Jordan and all them guys. The one common trait was unless they were seriously injured, like when Michael Jordan broke his ankle, like you really had a them guys, John Stockton went years without missing a game.
That's why he's so high on the list.
Yeah. You know, like these guys they played for their pride, they played for their team, they played for the name on the front of their jersey. Now the guys play for the name on the back of their jersey. I don't think it's a team element no more. Guys play for what they can get out of it individually, no matter if it hurts their team, hurts their fans. I just want to get paid. Then have the nerve to cry about money, wanting to be the top dollar. That's more stuff for ego. I want to be the top player. The people that are the top player right now aren't the best people in the league. But the league's rules are dictating that if you make first team or second team, you can get a supermax contract.
Yep.
And they're getting it, but they're not the best player, you know, out there. It's just like in the NFL with the quarterback thing. Whoever's turn it is next gets paid. But
And the crazy part about it is like Gerald pretty much hit it on the head. Is back then them guys were making peanuts compared to what the guys are making now.
oh man.
Like not for nothing. You can. I'll just use Jason Tatum as an example. Jason Tatum's salary would pay the whole team's salary
Oh yeah.
for like 2 years.
Yeah, him
3
and
years.
Jaylen Brown. They got 2-on-1 team. But credit to them guys, they're not part of the load management thing that I see.
No, not at all.
But there's other people who are making around that money or a little less or trying to get more than them that want to sit out and be cried about a contract. LeBron's not taking no team-friendly deals. Yeah, we give LeBron praise for being 40 years old and playing at the same level, but I don't respect the fact that in order for you to play at that level, you're going to sit out all these games. And I just think that your pay should be based on the percentage of games you play.
Yep.
Here's your yearly salary. But how do you pay people? Like these guys get paid weekly. Like every Tuesday they get paid and they only get paid during the season. I think maybe half your money should be paid out during the season and the other half is paid out like 10 days after the season ends. And you get a percentage of how many games you played unless you had a viable injury that prevented you from playing.
Ever since morning said I work for Nike. You lost me there, Mr. Paris.
I guess Alonzo Mourning back in the day made a comment about he made more money in his endorsements than he did in league, but that was before the big contracts. Alonzo Mourning played at a different era.
Yeah.
So the sneaker deals were huge. And, you know, a lot of the off the court money was more. I mean, we know Jordan made more money off the court than he did on the court.
And I think I said this last week. Jordan said it best. He said, when myself, Charles, when we came into the league, we had to earn a sneaker contract. We had to earn a Gatorade contract. Now they're giving that sneaker contract and that Gatorade money to guys that even improved themselves in the league.
Based on their future potential, but not what they've proven on the court yet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We got kids in high school getting sneaker deals and stuff, and we don't even know how they're going to be in college, and then we don't know if college is going to translate over to the pros.
Not for nothing. This kid, the kid from Brockton, who's going to BYU.
Yeah, the Manster.
He signed a $7 million NIL deal, and he hasn't even proved himself in college.
Oh, that was like Archie Manning in football.
That's nuts.
He hasn't even been named the starter yet until this year, and he has the highest earned money in college.
That's
college football.
That's crazy, bro. Like,
so with the people we got on there, Jonathan, Paul, Michael Kahn, how does the NBA improve their product? And do you guys agree that since Adam Silver's taken over, the overall product of the NBA has gone down as far as the entertainment value, I know TV ratings are down. The earnings gone up for the players. That's great. But something has to be done. Like Mike touched on it, and I mentioned it earlier. The players union, Adam Silver, and the owners have to get together and hammer out something that keeps this load management from, because like I said, I'm not buying a ticket. You know, my grandson or granddaughter wants to go see Steph Curry and they come to Boston once a year and I buy that ticket to make sure we got it. And it's top dollar because it's Steph Curry. And then guess what? Steph Curry plays in New York the night before and decides, I'm not playing 2 nights in a row. And there's no holding him accountable for doing that. There's no holding the team. I think you have to penalize the team and the player, not making your players available. And I think the NBA should sit with the players union and say, we're going to hold the team accountable and the team's going to be forced to take that money out of the player's salary. And then that money can go toward other aspects of the NBA.
I don't think the players union will do that. In my opinion.
Because they represent the players.
Yes.
And they're not, but something has to be done. That has to be a negotiating.
I'm sure it's something that had to be talked about this already. But
I wonder what year we're in how many more years before the next players union contract comes up, because they're usually good for like 3 to 4 years.
Well, I don't know. I can't see the players union going for that.
But Gerald, I see what you're saying, but in today's day and age, the players have not been having to hold themselves accountable. It's been easy pickings, easy money for them. So they don't have no reason to go out there and have to show improve. They don't have to play an all-star weekend. They don't have to be in a dunk contest. They don't have to play back-to-back. The only thing they have to do is negotiate a great contract for them personally before what's best for the team.
That's it.
Adam Silver still works for the owners. Right. The owners have to recognize that Adam Silver, I don't know if the owners are making more money now. They have to be, because in order for them to be paying these outrageous salaries, but the product is not.
Now, of course, they're making more money because the ticket prices are going up. The TV contracts are going up.
How? If the ratings aren't up, how are the TV contracts going up? Just because of the money the networks are making off the ratings?
Just think about it. This was TNT's last year. Whoever bid on it or won that bid.
Oh, it went to NBC or something.
That's more money right there. So obviously they're doing something.
All right. Well, that's going to be something that we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But some other NBA news that just happened today that was very disappointing.
Well, for some of us.
Well,
one of us.
And even as far as talking about this product, San Antonio is a small market team, but they've always had a superstar, whether it be David Robinson and then Tim Duncan and now Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, can't sleep about Parker. Parker was
but he was part of the team with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and on him. But they made small market teams work because those players stayed together on those teams and they competed for championships and won championships because they sacrificed for each other. I don't know if those days are going to happen anymore because they all probably took a little less money to stay together because winning was more important. But news came out that Wemby's definitely done for the rest of the year. He has basically what amounts to blood clots in his in some of his vital veins that can turn into a serious situation, and they're going to monitor that because some other people that had their careers affected like that, namely Chris Bosh. This is the same injury that made Chris Bosh take time off, and he tried to come back, but he couldn't come back at the same level because his body just wouldn't perform. What they noticed in Victor that Chris Bosh mentioned a lot when he was playing was the constant chronic tiredness. Like no matter how much you rest, you always felt low energy. And a lot of that is portrayed to the to what's going on in this disease. Let me see something. I just want to make sure.
The next CBA is in 2029-30. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs announced today that he is being diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder. The condition was discovered when he returned to San Antonio following the All-Star game. He is expected to miss the remainder of the season. The team will provide further updates later. Now, he's only played 40-something games, and he was the overwhelming choice for Defensive Player of the Year, which I thought he got robbed of last year.
Yeah.
But if you look at his stats for this year, he was averaging 24.3, 11 rebounds, and just under 4 blocks a game at 3.8 in 46 appearances. He's just the 7th player in NBA history to average 24 plus points per game and 3 or more blocks per game, and the first since Shaquille O'Neal in 1999-2000. This is a big blow because one of our rising stars is being shortcut. That's going to hurt what we talked about with the ratings. Also, San Antonio as a team is on the cusp of making it to the play-in, and they just traded for De'Aaron Fox. And you got the kid from UConn, Castle, starting to play well. They gave up a lot to get De'Aaron Fox. I still think so. Now they're talking about should they still try to play for a playoff position or should they tank because everything after this year they've given up their every other year of their number 1 picks in that De'Aaron Fox trade. But that's huge because even though they're saying he's only out for this year, based on what I saw happen with Chris Bosh and some other people, there was somebody else they mentioned that this happened to as well, and it affected their career. Brandon Ingram is dealing with it right now.
Yeah.
So everybody's talking about Brandon Ingram the last 2 years. This is the same situation. Brandon Ingram missed the final 19 games of the 2018-19 season with the same condition in his right arm. Blood clots forced Chris Bosh to retire early. Bosh was diagnosed with pulmonary embolism in 2014, and the blood clot traveled to his lungs. That's the dangerous part. They found it in his shoulder, but it can travel. When it gets to your lungs, that's where you're not going to have the energy because now you can't. You're having trouble breathing. You can't take in air. Your conditioning's going to suffer. But to only be, how old is Wemby? 21, 22? I know he's very, very young, but I was really caught off guard when I saw that. Yeah, I think the right thing, Jonathan, would be not to tank. But taking Wemby off that team is going to make it very difficult to win.
That's 24 points.
So if they can't improve this year, from a business point of view, they're like, well, it's going to be hard to win. We might as well just, play the role and try to get another. It's a very good draft coming up this year. Anybody in the top 10 picks is going to be a game changer.
And then next year, they don't have a draft.
Right. So they might want to play for this year's pick to add that piece and the hopes of Victor coming back healthy next year. But even if he does, we've seen with Ingram and we've seen with Bosh, this isn't something that just automatically will get cured. You might have long-term repercussions. So we don't know the long-term prognosis for Wemby and how he's going to react. And that would be a shame to see somebody at the height of his career right now. He hasn't even reached the height of his career. He's so young. He's improving, every year. I was really taken aback by how well he adjusted last year. And we all said when he puts on some weight, he's adjusted to the level of talent in the NBA. He's doing his thing. Second year in the league with these type of numbers. And now you got a crippling injury that really could hamper how much this young man's future could be jeopardized. So we're going to wish the best for Victor and hope that things come out on the positive side because, I really think he has a lot to prove as a person, a lot to offer the San Antonio Spurs and the NBA in general. That's going to be a devastating loss in so many different areas if he has any long-term repercussions from this situation. Well, anything else on the NBA that was newsworthy? I mean,
about your guy, 25 games.
Well, yeah, that's a minor story. Bobby Portis.
Milwaukee Bucks cheating again.
Cheating again? When was the last time they cheated? Yeah. But Bobby Portis got caught with banned substances he's suspended 25 games, which to me is the majority of the season.
That's the rest of the regular season.
Because if Victor's already played 46 games, that means there's only 36 left, and he's suspended for 25 of them. Will he be in shape? Will he get back into the team chemistry? Where will Milwaukee be? Because he is a key contributor. I don't know if he was starting or coming off the bench, but he is one of their main.
And that's probably going to put a little damper on your superstar who already is pretty much talking about being done if they're not good.
Well, another interesting story I read besides that fact today was how well Kyle Kuzma's fit in with that team. And a couple of people saying that he might be the best third option or up there in the top 3 of teams in the league because there's absolutely no pressure on him. And he's free to do whatever he wants because all the attention is going to be on the big 2 with Giannis and Dame. You know, but it's still going to be something that has to be dealt with. I haven't heard of anybody else with performance enhancing drugs in the NBA in a little bit. So I wonder if it's because he's getting on the back end of his career now and he's trying to stay at a certain level to maintain a certain salary.
Got to try and be that 3.
And how long has he been doing it and getting away with it?
That's the question. Now, you think that the NBA is going to crack down on testing hard for this drug again? Because who's to say that? I'm sure
there's got to be other people out
he's
there.
Not the only one.
Yeah.
But
I don't know who else. I mean, I think that drug testing has to be a part of every professional sport.
Yeah, but there's drug testing, but then there's drug testing of looking for certain things.
Right. But the performance enhancing drugs, I think, should be done.
But see, anything
randomly on like a monthly basis.
Anything can be considered a performance enhancing drug if it's like ibuprofen can be considered a performance enhancing drug because it's speeding up the process of your pain, whatever.
Yeah, any type of painkiller.
To a certain point. You know what I mean?
When people take those shots in football so they can just play, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Except baseball. What do you mean?
Yeah, Mike Conn. That's what I'm hoping, that they caught it early enough. With Chris Bosh, I think he didn't really deal with it until it did, a decent amount of damage, and they didn't really know what it was. And same thing with Ingram, but I'm hoping they caught it early enough with Wemby that they can correct some of the problems that they've noticed. And outside of him being lethargic, he didn't really have no other signs. He was trying to participate in NBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
But he came back and he was like, "Oh, I'm tired." And they just sent him for a physical and boom, this popped up.
That's crazy.
Well, the NBA has some interesting storylines. The second half of the season, for all intents and purposes, really starts tonight. There was only one game last night. So we'll see what happens. We'll see, what happens with the Spurs without Wemby. We'll see what happens to my Bucks without Portis playing. And we'll see what's going to happen in that race for the number 1 seeds in both the East and the West, because Boston's going to be there. Cleveland looks legit. I think New York, the one team that I feel like kind of went down from last year was the Pacers. But
that's
Philly, because they're never healthy.
Yeah, they look awful.
They lost their rookie that was hitting all those threes, the kid from Duke early, and B's playing every so often.
Taking a banned painkiller by accident, he said.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Oh, wait a minute. You talking about Portis?
Yeah.
Oh. They always say it's by accident.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was taking.
By accident, I got caught.
Yeah.
I did cocaine by accident. I did. Yeah. Come on.
I make no excuses for anybody, whether they're on my team or another team. You know what the banned substance list is. And if you don't, that's your own ignorance. Yeah. Because if you don't know, the team trainer should be telling you. Your agent should be telling you. I mean,
you don't just take anything.
And that's something else that I think the NBA, when somebody gets found with a banned substance, that should affect player salary too. There should be another incentive that once that hits somebody in the pockets,
he gets suspended. You don't get paid.
Oh, okay.
You don't get paid. He's not getting paid.
Okay.
That's why
I wasn't sure.
They're gonna say, so they're gonna say, hey, you're suspended for 25 games. We're still gonna pay you? Hell no.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hell no. You don't get paid for that, bro.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, another story that caught my interest this week was in the NFL. And unfortunately, we have another player coming under scrutiny for sexual allegations. This time it's in Baltimore with Justin Tucker, their all pro kicker.
Same thing.
Sounds really eerily familiar. And the only thing is, um, the allegations were between 2014 and 2016, I believe. Why wait so long for people to come forward? The same thing happened with Deshaun Watson. It wasn't stuff that he had done in the last 1 or 2 years of his playing career. It was something he had done supposedly 4 years ago. Now, it's wrong if these allegations did happen, but are people striking at certain times when they can get the most out of it?
Why
Like,
wait so long?
yeah. If you really were bothered and you were upset, you should have brought attention to it right when it happened. There's got to be a statute of limitations.
What happened? Yeah, your hand's hurt. You got arthritis. You're not making any money. So now let me. Well, this happened in 2006. Let me see if I can get some money off of this dude. Like that's crazy.
And I think because it happened to Watson, and he maintained his innocence, but it got to the point where it was going to affect his pocketbook, and he had to make this case go away. It was hurting his reputation. It was already out there. Right, wrong, or indifferent. When you're accused of something that's sexual like that, even just the negative publicity, by the time you get proven innocent, the damage has already caused a long-term rippling effect in your name that you can't get back. That defamation of character and that question in the back of people's minds, did he really do it? Well, why is he paying people off? Sometimes you have to pay people off to make things go away because it's going to have a crippling effect on your career and your name. Any thoughts about the Justin Tucker situation? Why it's coming out now? Yeah, people saying it's a money grab is wild. But it makes me lean on that side of thinking because of how long it took for allegations to come out. This guy's 35, 36 years old. He probably won't get another big contract. The difference with him and Deshaun Watson was Deshaun happened in the kind of the prime of his career. It happened when he was still with Houston.
Even before he got the bag.
Right.
So,
and
I think, but in my opinion, that Deshaun Watson, that had something to do with the Houston Texans owner. He had to spark something up on that because before that, this dude had no problems at all. He was pretty much almost like a face of league type of kid because everybody thought he was a goody two shoe. But then all of a sudden he has a problem in Houston, and all of a sudden this stuff comes out.
And the thing is, the numbers. Once that first snowball effect comes out, according to the Baltimore Banner, 7 more massage therapists have accused the Baltimore Ravens kicker of inappropriate sexual behavior, which brings his total number of accusers to 16. 16 people couldn't come forward. I have to wait for somebody else. I think with Deshaun, it got up to 21.
Yeah. How many massage therapists do you have to go through?
And that's what's killing me is it's the same MO as the Deshaun Watson case.
But they weren't mad when
massage therapists.
Money though.
Yeah.
When he paid for that massage, it was good.
Maybe he hasn't been going to them in a while and they're missing that money. So they're like, well, if you don't want to pay willingly enough, we'll blackmail you out of it. I don't know.
So they basically, hey, Steve, you want to go get this dude? He pays big dollar, but he's going to ask you to do something. All right, I'm going to get the big dollar. Well, I don't know.
The allegations of the alleged incidents happened between 2012 and 2016, which were Tucker's first 5 seasons in the NFL. So did he stop doing it? Did you stop having? Was 2012 to 2016 the years he was visiting? Then maybe he decided he liked other massage therapists better.
I don't know. Like, that's just crazy. Like,
he's accused. The women have accused him. He's 35 now, of exposing himself during spa sessions, brushing his private parts against their bodies, and potentially leaving ejaculate on the massage tables. They were saying he was always massaging the girl's legs and trying to make intense eye contact with them and stuff like that. I don't know the proper protocol for a massage. You're getting a full body massage.
You shouldn't touch the masseuse, regardless.
Right. But when did they have a problem with it? Did they want him? And if so, were they afraid to tell him because they might lose out on a big client, paycheck? The incidents reportedly took place at the spa at Four Seasons Hotels and the Baltimore Spa and Salon, Ritz-Carlton residence, among other places.
So now, like, they're reporting this stuff now, or did it get reported?
Right.
Then?
And that's my issue is...
It reported then, but the public is just hearing about it now. Like, there's got to be a statute limitation.
Right.
Because...
That's 9 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So how is it not a problem for the last 9 years unless something changed in that relationship? Maybe the massage therapist got a little older in 9 years. He wasn't turned up. He went and looked for other people. Oh, we're not just going to go quietly. And I know other people that were providing those services. But my thing is, it's eerily too similar in how long people waited to come out with these allegations, the profession that it involved. I mean, if they wanted sexual favors, there's the oldest industry in the book. They can go out and probably be a little bit more discreet, but yet we're not, if that's all it was about, they could have chose that path. What is it about these massage therapists, unless they're legally covering up the illegal actions by posing as therapists? But,
it's just crazy, bro.
Now, here's the other thing that I don't know if it's just me. Do you think these stories were told in the same light by the media when they first came out? Or do you think there was more scrutiny on one case than the other?
See, I don't know.
I felt like when it came out with Deshaun, we were hearing about it every night.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I heard about the Justin Tucker situation, but then we're getting, it's not a major news story every night like it was with Deshaun Watson.
Well, Deshaun Watson was the first one.
Exactly.
But and also
he was a higher profile player.
I don't know. Tucker is considered the best
one
kicker.
of the best kickers. Yeah,
he's considered the best kicker of all time.
Yeah.
And now I think about it, if they accused him of this back then, the Lions wouldn't have lost that game on that 66-yard field goal.
Knew you figure out somehow about Detroit.
And there'll be the 66-yard would be the record right now.
Okay, so then the thing that I'm concerned about, wait a minute, I was just thinking of something else and I was reading the comment. They say the embarrassment keeps them from going forward and the stigma. All right, but it's 9 years. It's 9 years. If a crime is committed, I don't care what crime it is, it should be reported right away. And even if you have trouble coming to grips, you're emotionally scarred, 2 years, 3 years, anything beyond that point, you shouldn't be able to go back.
I'm sorry, let me cut you off.
No,
but think about it like this: after 9 years, right? Let's say something happened 9 years ago. Now you want to go tell your story. Now that story's not going to be the same.
Those girls were probably 25 years old on average back then.
Yeah,
they're at the end of their careers too.
That story is not going to be the same.
I'm bothered that part of me thinks this is a copycat situation. The same type of business went after an NFL player and accused him of the same thing. Then all these, if it was just one girl, okay. But 16 all come out at the same time?
18, whatever, either or.
Yeah. But I know they said 7 more came out and he was up to 16 as of yesterday. More could have came out today. I'm sure that number will grow like it did with Deshaun. Tucker's going to have no choice but because they saw how the Deshaun Watson thing, he proclaimed his innocence. He wasn't going to do nothing, but he was put on the NFL ban list, and all this other stuff and faced all these other repercussions and couldn't get that next contract. Now, you said you thought the owner of Houston had something to do with it, and that could have very well have been. But in Baltimore, I don't think that's the case. I think this situation could have happened, but I think it's happening a lot more than we're aware of. It's just that it's accepted at the time. But when that money dries up, these people try to create new ways of getting paid.
Oh yeah.
To wait 9 years, I'm sorry. I could see if one or two people waited that long, but none of those 16 allegations could come out quicker than 9 years.
Yeah, that's crazy in my mind.
And it's the same massage therapist that Deshaun Watson had problems. It's following the same suit. Next, we'll be hearing Tony Busby's the lawyer because he was the lawyer for the last girls. They all got paid in a closed settlement. And I think that's the route that's going to happen with Justin Tucker. And the thing that scares me is how many more times will this happen? You know,
Yeah.
right, wrong, or indifferent, you should be required to report a crime in a timely fashion.
So now basically what the NFL is going to have to do is they're going to have to hire their own masseuses or something, or just ban NFL players from going to professional masseuses. If not, you're going to risk this shit.
That's going to have to be part of the NFL protocol to realize there is a problem with opportunists out there. And I don't know if it was the NBA. I think it was the NFL that did do it. When rookies came into the league, they had to go through an orientation where they said, here's some of the loopholes that people make wild investments, don't save their money. They get caught up with women. We're seeing people like Jalen Green in Houston having trouble, dating a lady, Drea Michelle, that's a lot older than him, in her 40s. Hey, I'm not a young chicken no more. I'm going to get pregnant by one of these new ballers because the kid she has now is 1 year younger. She has an athlete's child now, and they showed him at the game, and they said, watching my stepfather, who's a year older than her son. And everybody she's dated has been an athlete. Like, this is becoming common practice. And I'm afraid we saw the same things happen with Travis Hunter. He went through, like, hey, the girl got with him once he got to Colorado, and when he's at Jackson State, it was he wasn't a nobody or nothing, but he didn't all of a sudden become a supermodel. But when he got to Colorado, he was getting more national exposure in his name. Now all of a sudden you're attracting a different quality of partner. But they weren't attracting these partners up until they got that notoriety and they became the NIL deals now kick in. I don't know if you saw, but Israel Adesanya is going through it right now. And his amazes me.
That's crazy.
Because they've only been dating for less than a year. They have no kids, no marriage. He breaks up with her. She files court papers to say she wants half of his earnings. You haven't been with him 1 year. You have no financial ties to this man.
None.
You have no kids. People are allowed to break up, but just because you're a professional athlete. And then I look at her and I said, nothing against, I don't want to sound like a hater, but all these guys were dating up. The girls that are involved, the girls that would be way out of their league if they weren't professional athletes. And unfortunately, people are seeing opportunity, and some of them are going to go that route. And it makes you wonder when something's legit and when something's just going to be an opportunity. I fully, wholeheartedly believe that these guys, when they get out of college or even when they start signing these NIL deals, need to protect themselves against opportunists. Who was the one that was making people sign disclosures before he even had sex with them, and all the girls were coming at him saying he was wrong? No, he was protecting his money.
Yeah.
I want to say it was was it Chad Johnson? It was some professional athlete that was really, really well known. And before he'd get involved with a girl, he'd make them sign a non-disclosure saying that, hey, you can't come after me for this, that, and everything else, that you're willingly entering into a personal relationship. It doesn't entitle you to anything I have. These girls are only seeking these athletes for what can be done for them. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world right now. Yeah, it could have been T.O., yeah. But I knew it was somebody high profile. But when I heard the Israel Adesanya stuff, and unfortunately I see what's going on with the Travis Hunter situation, when those things come to fruition, I expect that the cat's out the bag with Travis Hunter. He's off social media. He's doing less and less. Well, he never was a public person anyway, but it's a matter of time before she ends up pregnant. And then once she has that child, I don't see her hanging around for the long run.
No,
I feel like he'll sign his rookie contract. She'll come up pregnant, and then she'll be gone.
In my opinion, she already sees how he is. His whole NIL deal, he gave it to everybody else but himself. So
She's like, why not give it to me?
Yeah, she sees how he is, so she's like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna get money.
That's very unfortunate.
Crazy.
You know, any high profile person, I don't, it happens with actors, it happens with comedians, it happens with any high profile person that's making a decent amount of money. But you don't see nobody going around to the regular guys like, hey,
Nope.
We only dated for a year, but I'm going to take you to court and get half your earnings because we're nowhere near the tax bracket these people are. These athletes are being targeted. Call it what you want, agree or disagree, but it happens way too often. And it's frustrating to me that these young people don't protect themselves better. You sacrificed your whole life giving up things to get to this type of level, to have this type of talent, excelling in high school, excelling in college, that you made it through the very minute percentage to make it as a pro athlete. And somebody's going to come along and throw you a piece of ass and try to take half of it away and then move on to the next opportunity. Because a lot of these people, I'm appalled by how many shared girlfriends. There was a story on TMZ and I was like, oh my God, like these guys are you just hearing everybody else talking? It makes you want that person now. There's no other girls. You can have any girl you want. These guys are all messing with the same circle of girls, and the same girl got kids with 2 or 3 different athletes.
Yeah, there's a girl that's got 3 different kids with 3 different pro athletes.
Yeah, the one that went out with PJ Tucker, I think.
I forget her name, but it's crazy.
Yep.
3 different kids, 3 different.
But there's so much of that going on, So I'm wishing that this situation with Justin Tucker the same way as Deshaun Watson. I just hope wherever the truth lays, that's the way the case goes. Unfortunately, we'll never know exactly the truth, but I think there might be some truth mixed in. But at one point in time, both parties were in a good space. Because if you make a deal with somebody and they're saying, hey, I'll do whatever for this amount of money. But then when you get tired of them and you don't want them no more and you want to move on to somebody else, relationship-wise, masseuse, whatever, these girls are getting older too, so their earning potential is going down. I need to set myself up for the long haul. So not only do you accuse this man 9 years later, how did you even come in contact? How did you find the other 15 people in such a short period of time? Everybody just jumped. It's a snowball effect. And I can't believe that all 16 allegations are the same. Like this guy is a chronic pervert. Deshaun Watson's a chronic pervert. There's truth and faults in every situation. And I believe there's probably a little of both. They probably did do some things that were questionable, but I believe that there was some type of financial arrangement that made everybody happy at one time. And when that arrangement was gone.
So, and I believe we went over this already, but 16 people, right? They all came forward. So when the first time it happened, whatever, it don't get reported. Then he comes back. It's another masseuse. It happens again. Doesn't get reported. Now, are these masseuses talking with each other? Saying, hey, this guy, he pays.
How do they know about each other? I got a friend.
Somebody, yeah.
With Tucker, it said it happened in the Baltimore area at 2 high-end hotels, a Four Seasons and enough. So they already got high clientele staying there besides the athletes. Yeah. But of course, if you're dating an athlete, they're going to pick a nice 5-star place so that everybody feels comfortable and all that stuff. So they're probably working those hotels for the whales, the big money gamblers, the big businessmen, the oil type, anybody that goes through there, they know they're staying money. Those girls probably are setting up massage parlors on the premises of those hotels or somewhere close by. And the word of mouth is getting out like, hey, while you're in town, go see so-and-so, go see. It's a referral basis by the guys. And then it's also a referral basis by the girls. If I told you, hey, D-Con, somebody's paying big money for pool tournaments, man. I think you should go over there. They're paying me all this money, but guess what? It's more than just a pool tournament. It's this, it's that. Yeah. They're paying me. You should go get some of that money. Then it works for you. Now you're telling people, yo, I got this situation. I'm still telling people, and it's growing, but we're referring the same people. And now those girls or the people involved are saying, hey, you got D-Con and Lopes over here. coming through for these pool tournaments, and we're offering some other stuff. So they're telling people how to go get that bag, and we're telling people where to go to get these services. And that's how I think that number grows. There's no way 16 girls know each other and all had a problem with the same one. If that's the case, why didn't somebody warn somebody to stay away from that person? Hey, I've had an issue with this particular client. We should stay away from them. Oh no, the money's too good. I'm going to keep doing it.
Oh, he can rub my leg.
Hey, he's not calling me anymore. You know something? He's not calling me no more either. Hey, you know something? Let's get together and come at him and force him to give us some money because he's chose to go spend money with some younger people or some different people.
It's crazy. This world is crazy.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated with the way things are going in today's society. It's just it's crazy, all the things that we're witnessing out there now. So we recapped the NBA All-Star Weekend. We talked about the Justin Tucker allegations. Last week, the men's and college basketball scene was very exciting, and a lot of high-profile matches where top teams had to play each other. In women alone, UConn and South Carolina, that was a great game.
Blowout.
It ended up being a blowout, but how did that happen? Because South Carolina has been the more dominant program this year. But I tell people, because I'm a big UConn fan, men's and women's, and the men are definitely taking their licks this year. But I talked about this with Paul Paris a lot. UConn hasn't been totally healthy in 3 years.
Nope.
Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd have both had significant.
Fudd finally showed up.
Yeah, but she's finally been healthy this year. This is the whole reason why Paige Beckers came back on her medical red shirt. She could have gone last year and been playing for money right now, mainly because she probably has a decent NIL deal, but she felt like she never got to prove her full potential outside her freshman year. She got hurt her junior year. She got hurt her sophomore year and her junior year. And then they had the COVID year. And now here she is playing in a fifth year. But AZ Fudd is also playing. And then they got a great freshman in Sarah Strong, which has another side story I want to bring up as well too. But they've stayed healthy, and now I think they've gotten a rhythm. The only thing that surprised me wasn't the fact that UConn beat them, but how convincingly they beat them and in South Carolina.
Yep.
Now, South Carolina's lost one of their good players this year, Ashlyn Watkins. She's a big girl. She's the one that dunked in games and stuff. So I'm pretty sure. But they've held their own against all the other top teams this year. But no longer is there a Goliath at the top of the totem pole that's just running roughshod through women's college basketball no more.
UCLA got beat last week too.
Yeah. But you got UCLA, the top 7 teams. Now Notre Dame is number 1. Notre Dame has 3 losses. Remember, they went overseas and lost 2 games. In the Bahamas Classic. They were beaten. They beat UConn. They beat USC. They beat some high-ranked teams, and they went over and lost to some questionable teams. But now they're back to being the number 1 team in the country. Who's number 2? It's Notre Dame. I know UCLA fell to 3, which I don't think they should have fell too far anyway, because that was their first loss to the season. USC moved up to number 4, and I think UConn's at 5. Oh, no, Texas is up there. Texas is like number 3 right now.
I think Texas lost the other day, though.
Nah. Texas beat 2 ranked teams this week. They beat South Carolina before UConn, and then they beat LSU in LSU. LSU was up there. That whole conference that we were talking about, you forget Texas is in there. That SEC conference is crazy. Like, we talked about the men having 4 out of top 5.
Number 2.
Texas is number 2.
Yeah.
I think they only got 1 loss.
2. 26-2.
All right. So then what's the rest of the top? Because the top 7 are crazy.
UCLA.
At 3.
USC.
Mm-hmm.
UConn.
Yep.
South Carolina. LSU. LSU at 7. Ohio State at 8. North Carolina at 9. And TCU at 10.
Okay, and there's a team, Tennessee, that's fallen out of the top 10, and they have some big wins too. They beat UConn.
They're down to 15.
Right now?
19-6, ranked number 15.
Oh, they're down to 15. I thought you said they were down 15
Oh,
right
no,
now.
no,
I was
no,
like,
no.
19-6, that's 13. But USC will be number 2. Why would they be number 2, Michael Kahn? Because Texas is number 2 right now.
Yeah.
Does Texas have a game coming up this week that you think?
UCLA is still ahead of USC, and I understand USC beat them, but
Yeah, will be number 2 by the end of the year. But my thing now is I'd love to. I want to challenge all of us this year to do a college bracket for the women's thing, because in years past you could just pick South Carolina, UConn, and Iowa to go to the champ. You could pick the Final Four very easily, and you could probably pick who was going to be in the championship. And there might be one upset along the way, but there's 7 teams that are capable of knocking off anybody in the top 7. And then you got teams like Ohio State and Tennessee
Ohio State's
and
man.
I want to say Iowa State with Audie Crooks, who, she's the center that's averaging big numbers, points and rebounds. But there's other teams capable in women's college basketball. And the same can be said about the men's college game. But back to my point with UConn. So their number 1 freshman, Sarah Strong.
Yeah.
You know who her mom is?
Katie Strong?
Nah.
I don't know. Alabama is losing to Tennessee right now, 58-40.
In men's?
Women.
But Alabama, I don't think.
Oh, Notre Dame is playing Miami.
Oh, that's interesting. Some local.
Yeah, they're up a little bit right now.
Okay, here's the story I was going to tell you about. Sarah Strong, Celtics VP of Team Operations Allison Feaster returns home to watch South Carolina to watch her daughter Sarah Strong compete against the Gamecocks. Feaster, remember I said vice president of operations for the Celtics. Now let's insert why Ime Udoka left.
No way. Is that the same?
That was one of the names that was brought up. They also said that the husband works in a very high position. I don't know if her husband does, but the fact that her daughter is Sarah Strong and she played ball at Harvard and I believe was their all-time leading scorer, and then went on to play 5 seasons in the WNBA before she switched gears and got into basketball, and now she's the VP of operations. But I'm almost sure that her name was the name I heard thrown around. Nobody could prove one way or the other, but I heard there was 2 people, because he was warned for messing with one and then got caught messing with the other and still pursued it, and that made the husband uncomfortable. But let me see something here. Just to give you an idea of her playing ability, according to the Associated Press, Feaster graduated from Chester High School as the state's then all-time leading scorer, male or female, with 3,477 points. Just last May, she was inducted into the South Carolina Hall of Fame for her high school exploits. But at Harvard, she is the all-time leading scorer in Harvard women's basketball. And she went on to have a nice little career with the WNBA. I think she played 5 seasons. But that connection, that Sarah Strong's mother was a former baller, that really, I never realized. I remember Feaster playing basketball. She didn't get as much write-up because Harvard wasn't a powerhouse. Yeah. But when they did play against the big schools, she more than held her own, and she got good enough where she became the all-time leading scorer, and she was on the radar to get drafted by the WNBA and to have that 5-year career. But then I was like, where else did I hear her name before? Where else did I hear her name? And it was the VP of operations. It never was proven one way or the other, but her name was tossed around as possibly being one of the 2 people that was involved with Ime Udoka. There. But what about in the men's college basketball? Auburn is the number 1 team, and Florida's looking really, really tough. And Florida is one of the top 5 teams right now. I think Florida owned a victory over Auburn when their All-American Johnny Kroom had to sit out. And they have a guy that's really, really good, that light-skinned kid for Florida. I think they're the number 2 or number 3 team in the country because I think Duke lost last week.
Yeah, Duke lost.
But Duke was number 2, Florida was number 3. Duke was the only school that wasn't in the SEC that was in the top 5. And they lost last week. And then you got teams like Iowa State, who's been around. They were number 1 for a while. They were in the top 3, top 4 for most of the season. I think they went on a little skid where they lost 2 out of 4 games, and they've slipped down to like number 8, but they're still a national power. Houston's up there now.
Houston's number 5. Florida's 2.
Right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
But once again, there's no runaway team. Everybody's saying Auburn right now, and Auburn had to play Alabama, who was also up there in the top 5. They just beat Alabama because I saw Charles Barkley all over it when they beat Alabama. But
Auburn, Florida, Duke, Alabama, Houston, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Iowa State, Texas Tech, St. John's.
Yeah, St. John's, they just beat UConn again, and they beat somebody else pretty good over the weekend. But that's old friend Rick Pitino, I think, over there, right? That's
Sure.
getting that program together and reviving memories of Louis Conaseca, man. Like saying
Auburn number 1.
Well, not only do they, I think Johnny Kroom is one of the most underrated people in the air. He's 6'10". He averages 20 points or better in double figures and rebounds. I want to say he's a 20 and 12 guy. But they also have a freshman who comes off the bench.
18 and 11.
He's averaging 18 and 11? All right. If you look down their roster and you mention the names of people on that team, I'll tell you who the freshman is. But he's doing a lot of work. But he's coming off the bench, similar to Malaysia Fulwiley for the South Carolina women. Come off the bench, it's instant offense.
Is he a big kid?
He's a guard, I think, or a small forward. He's either a shoot. Nope. Because he has a bit of a different last name.
Pegas?
Nope.
Cardell?
Nope.
Johnson? Nope. You said Moosh? Nope.
No, it's just not a regular name like Johnson or something like that, but it's Pettiford. Is there somebody named?
I guess Pettiford, yeah.
Pettiford.
Yeah. Well,
he might be their second leading scorer.
Well, no, but he's averaging
13, 14 a game, maybe?
11, but he's averaging 21 minutes a game.
But he comes off the bench.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah. So.
Wow. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys averaging double figures.
And that's why this guy doesn't have to average more than 18 a game. But when they need a bucket, his down low skills are polished. Mike Kahn, I know you've seen Johnny Kroom of Auburn play. Let us know what your opinion is on him. They're putting him up there for Player of the Year with Cooper, Flagg, and who else? Because the 2 kids from Rutgers fell off as far as Player of the Year candidates because their teams aren't before. There's a 3rd player that's being mentioned.
I want to say it was a kid from.
I'd love to say the kid from Florida, but that's not who I'm thinking about.
Nah, it's a kid from. He's in the ACC.
He's in the ACC?
I want to say Virginia. I want to say.
That doesn't ring a bell to me, but Auburn has fought that gauntlet of everybody in the SEC, and I think they only got 1 loss. But right now, Auburn's like the team to beat. But for me, if the tournament started right now, I'd be a big Houston fan. Houston is heating up now.
Clemson, the kid Hunter, Clemson, the guard. He's averaging 17 right now.
Yeah, but what's Clemson's record? There's somebody else that's
They're in the top 18. They're number 18.
Yeah, there was somebody that is even ranked higher on one of the teams that gets a lot of TV pub, and I'm just
Chase Hunter was his name.
he's definitely up there. But there's another name that they mentioned with Cooper Flag and Broom. For a while, they were mentioning Dylan Hopper, but he's been hurt, so he's kind of. And now Ace Bailey's been taking over, but they're a 500 team, so kind of hard to stack up stats and not have the wins to back you up. But there was also another story in women's college basketball. Does the name Michaela Blakes ring a bell to you at all?
Nope.
She's a freshman at Vanderbilt. And for the second time this year, she dropped 50 or more points. Michaela Blakes drops 55 points, breaks her own freshman scoring record of 53 in a comeback win against Auburn. Now, Vanderbilt plays in the SEC, but there's so many good women's teams in there that Vanderbilt just doesn't have a talented enough team around her to compete with the Tennessees and the South Carolinas and all the other great teams that we see in LSU and now Texas, all those great teams that are in there. But Michaela Blakes, remember that name. She had the record of 53 at Vanderbilt, but the record was 54. So I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago where she got 53. So this game was close that she had to come back to win against Auburn. So she was in the game at the end. It wasn't some blowout, and she had to stay in there. And she dropped 55 points.
You say RJ Davis?
Nah, he's had a down year for North Carolina.
Mark Sears?
He's the number one guy for Alabama, but he's come back down to earth.
Hunter Dickinson? Johnny Broom?
Johnny Broom's definitely up there.
Caleb Love? Wade Taylor? Ryan? No.
But anyway, just out of curiosity, if you had to pick one men's team and one women's team to ride with if the tournament started right now, start off with the women. Ladies first. Who are you riding with?
I think I said it before. I'm riding with UConn.
That sucks because that's what I was going to say too. When I lived out in Connecticut for 20 years, I used to go see them play a lot,
I ride with Notre Dame.
Well, that would be my second choice because I love their backcourt. And I love the girl Sonia Citron.
And you can't sleep on USC.
But then you got So the state of women's ball.
Obviously UCLA.
Yep. And obviously Texas with Madison Booker. But my thing is all these great players are sophomores and freshmen. They're going to be around. They can't go hardship. Betts already said she's coming back next year so that she can play with her sister. She would have been eligible because she'll be in her fourth year of college. She's played 4 years of college, or she's been in college 4 years or whatever. But she would have been eligible to go to the draft, but she wants to have 1 year playing with her sister because she was never able to do that because they're 4 years apart. But any one of those teams, you can't go wrong. And I think I'm gonna get Mike Kahn and Jonathan Nobrey and Gerald and Mike, everybody that tunes in. I want us all to do a women's bracket this year because I think that's going to be really difficult to do. And I think the men's bracket's going to be equally as tough. So we both like UConn and Notre Dame, and there's no shame. But then, you're leaving out a USC and a UCLA. It's just so wide open that it's going to be incredible to watch this year.
South Carolina.
Yeah, it's going to be so crazy. And it's going to be hard to pick. It's going to be whoever gets hot and whoever's healthy at the time. Let's switch gears and go to men's college basketball. I'm already on the record saying I would take Houston right now.
I'm taking Florida.
They had some health issues, but they're off guard. That light-skinned kid, we'd have to Google his name. I want to say he's 6'5". He plays combo guard. But they also got the other kid back, the other member of the backcourt. If you Google Florida's backcourt, both them guys are a problem. And then they got a bunch of role players at all the other positions. But, excuse me, their backcourt is dominant. And they'll give Auburn or any other team in the country a run for their money as long as those guys stay healthy. because that range of their shooting guard is crazy. I'm talking, he looked like a bigger version of Steph Curry. He was shooting open shots in the logo. He was shooting contested shots in the corners and wings. He was able to shoot over people because I want to say he's 6'4", 6'5". I want to say his last name something like Condon or something like that. I know he's their leading scorer.
Clayton Jr.
That's it, Clayton. But they have a second guy that plays guard.
Walter Clayton. You know he's 6'3".
Oh, he looked a lot bigger. He looked like he was bigger than maybe because he was playing point and he was shooting over the other point guys. But
Will Richards.
That's the other guy. Do they have their point averages or their stats there?
This is just off of their last game against Oklahoma.
Oh, with old local talent Bryson Goodine. And they beat the hell out of Oklahoma, by the way.
Yeah, they did. They beat them by 22.
But that's not a slight against Oklahoma. That's how good that Florida team is when healthy. Mitchell's been off and on with injury, and somebody else.
Clayton Jr. is averaging 17.
And a ton of assists and no turnovers.
Elijah Martin is averaging 15. Will Richards averaging 13.
So they got a three-headed monster.
Yeah.
So even if you stop one of them, they got two other people that are capable of. I think their only time they lost is when they broke up that three. Yeah. And if you remember at the beginning of the year, their coach was under scrutiny for a sexual allegation from somebody on campus saying that now, mind you, their coach is only, I want to say 30 years old. They got a young coach. He's only been there, I think, last year and this year. But he's not that much older than the college student body. He still should know better because he's in a position where he has to be professional. You can't go to parties and fraternize with the college students, even though you're close in age, because you have a reputation and you have a position to uphold representing the university. But some allegations came out against him and he was cleared. So at the beginning of the year, when they dropped the game or two, I think that was playing heavy, but he was cleared like 3 weeks ago. And with that weight lifted off him and he can get back to just worrying about basketball and the injuries kind of coming around where these guys are healthy, that's put Florida in a very good position as far as college basketball goes right now.
Yeah, they look good.
That would be my second team right now. Well, I don't know, because I think Auburn, man, that whole.
Yeah, you can't sleep on Auburn.
But,
SEC is tough.
Well, it's going to play out. We're almost at the end of February. I think there's only 2 more weeks of regular season, and then the conference tournament starts.
You can't sleep on Duke either.
No. But there's so much going on. So, both men's and women's college basketball, and this is why I say I'm so much happier to want to watch men's or women's college basketball because their product to me is more genuine, more exciting, and it just gets my adrenaline going to watch any number of college men's and women's basketball teams right now. The talent level's there. The wealth is being spread out. It's no longer dominated by 1 or 2 monsters at the top of the heap. There's 7 or 8 teams in both men's and women's. Before we get out of here, there's a big fight on this weekend. Bertibiev and Bivol. It's a rematch. A lot of people said they weren't sure which way. Now, I missed the first fight, but I ain't missing this fight.
I thought the guy that won lost, and the guy that lost won.
So that rematch, I think they're going to come out and start things a little early because I think it started off slow and then maybe the 4th or 5th round.
No, that whole fight was exciting.
I just think both guys are going to be afraid to leave it in the hands of the judges.
Yeah.
So you're going to see them trying to finish it to take that element out of.
That card is nuts.
Well, not anymore because I was going to bring that part up too. But 2 of those matchups have now changed.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson is now fighting a backup.
But a lot of people don't understand it.
And so is Daniel Dubois.
I think Daniel Dubois is sick, isn't he?
He's the one that's sick. I was just say that fight. He's under medical watch right now, but they're already looking for a replacement, and they want to announce it tonight or tomorrow because the fight is Saturday.
I think they already found it.
They were talking about Anthony Joshua, but I don't know if he's ready.
It's an African name. I forget the name. Shit. But
that card was set up to be like 5 deep, and now we've lost the luster on 2 of them.
But what's crazy about, like, I understand you say he lost luster, but the kid that Shakira's supposed to fight,
He's undefeated.
this is my thing with that is you train six. I don't know, most people, most fighters go 6 weeks at a time. You train 6 weeks to fight. If I'm training 6 weeks to fight you, right? And
Now
then
you
the
got a whole
last
nother
second,
spot.
now last second they throw B Mag in there, and who's a totally different fighter.
He's left-handed.
He's left.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's taller. He got a
yeah,
longer reach.
it-
You
it-
know,
you know,
hey, that's not the
So,
same
so
type
now,
of.
now it's a different type of fight. And now,
I
now
agree.
I have what the fight Saturday. I have 3 days to look up tape on this kid to try and study what he does. You know, looking for what his weaknesses are. So it's kind of different now. It's a different ball game.
So, are you confident enough to say you're going with one fighter over the other?
No.
I'm going to say, yep, Jonathan, I agree. Bivol has something to prove. He feels like from what everybody told me, because I didn't see that fight, I felt like it should have been a draw.
I thought Bivol.
There wasn't enough one way. If some
thought-
people are saying Bivol won,
I thought if anything, if it wasn't a draw, I thought Bivol won.
mm-hmm.
The other dude, I thought was getting his ass handed to him. But the other dude is one of them dudes that can knock you out at any time. So
Bivol and Bertiev both have crazy knockout percentage rates.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict that this fight ends with one of them knocking out the other. But
I don't think so. I think it's gonna go to a distance again.
all right. So unfortunately, we're not going to see the Shakira matchup, but he's supposed to still have a quality. Now, he also has to adjust to a new fighter.
That's what I'm talking.
Yeah.
I was referring to.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the new fighter.
No.
You know, like, yeah, Stevenson was preparing to fight the other guy.
That's when I was making my assumption. It was to that.
All right. Now, this guy that he's fighting, he had no idea he had a shot at the title, but he's not going to pass it up.
No, of course not.
But if he loses, they're going to say he didn't have enough time to
I wasn't
prepare.
ready.
But he's probably getting thrown bigger money than he's ever seen in any of his paydays because they want to save that card. Now, both those are over there with the Sheik. They're fighting in Abu Dhabi. 2 people ended up sick being over there in the last week. Do you think that environment might have been the reason? Like, I've never seen a card where 2 fighters go down being sick, not an injury.
Yeah. Could be something that they ate.
Something they ate. Maybe they were both coming from cold weather areas and it's all nice out. But something, whether it's the environment, the food, or there's just, you know, we know that there's a bug going around up here. I don't know what's going around over there, but they were susceptible to something. In the MMA, yeah. They always have a standby guy in MMA, though, that trains and says you ought to stand. But in boxing, I don't think they have something as sophisticated as that. And I've never seen. I was so looking forward to this card because I really want to say there was four or five fights that I wanted to watch from the beginning. And now the main one's still there, but the next 2 biggest ones are in jeopardy because Daniel Dubois was fighting Joshua Parker. That was going to be a good heavyweight. And then Shakira was fighting, and that was going to be a good one. But there's still another lighter weight bout on that card that's good too.
I can't remember who it is.
All right. Well, Saturday night, don't forget, I think now it's in Abu Dhabi. I wonder if it's at a different time because I always forget and I come home at 6 o'clock and they're showing me the results.
The last fight was out there.
Out in Abu Dhabi?
And that came on at like 11. So
because I don't know what time it's out there, but for them to have to go on their time and fight at like 4 o'clock in the morning, or
they probably fight in the afternoon.
Yeah,
early afternoon. So
well, I'm gonna say Bivol wins, and I'm gonna say he stops him, but nobody's ever stopped either one of those guys. Now, the interesting thing is, did you see who the Sheik flew over there yesterday, made an offer to, paying them to come sit ringside?
No.
The person that's going to get the winner of that fight. The Mexican Monster.
Oh, did
he? Yep. He made an offer. Benavidez will be sitting side by side with the Sheik, and he's promised the winner.
Nice. That's something he needs.
And you know what I like about that? it takes the attention off Canelo because all three of these guys want to fight Canelo, but Canelo's already lost to Bivol. Bivol technically has lost to Bertibiev, and we know that he doesn't want to take no chances with the Mexican monster. So 3 out of the top 4 fighters all want to fight the guy considered the top dog, and he doesn't want to fight none of them.
Yep. They don't want to.
And for one guy to be in that position, that's crazy. That you can keep sidestepping. That's what I like about the MMA is
that's the cash cow.
Call Dana White what you want, but we're going to see the best fights out there no matter what. So, all right, well, 8:14 now. We got some boxing coming on this weekend. I'm sure that NCAA men's and women's basketball picture will clear up a little more after this weekend. We're getting ready for the tampering period. It's a little later than I thought. I believe the combines are next weekend. And then the week after is the legal tampering period. So free agency, the tampering period starts March 3rd, and free agency starts when you can actually sign people like the 12th. 12th or 15th, something like that. And then the draft is in April. So we won't have to wait long, but I'll be curious to see what happens at the NFL Combine because I've already seen a couple of surprises like Shiloh Sanders was not invited to the Combine, and a couple of other people we thought they only invited 150 people, and they weren't on the list as one of the top 10 at their position. So, we'll see what happens. I heard he struggled in coverage at the Shrine, at the East-West game or one of those All-Star games, Senior Bowl, something. But next week we'll be getting ready for the combines. They started on Thursday, so we probably won't be able to talk about what's going on. But Thursday through Sunday, we'll be able to get a good indication on how people are going to jockey for position with the upcoming NFL draft. So until next week, we'll sign off for now. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And hope to see everybody next Thursday.
Peace.